Hi, my name is Nicolette Wei Mei Wong, and welcome to my talk titled How I Became an Anthropologist of Technology, an unconventional Malaysian pursuing an unconventional path. I am an anthropologist of technology. I am also a UX researcher. Now, what are those things? You are not alone if you had no idea what these things mean. When I am back in Malaysia, or really anywhere in the world, people always ask me, "What is it that you do, Nicolette?" I tell them, I'm an anthropologist. To which they often reply, "What is that? How are you going to make a living being an anthropologist?" Now, before I tell you what exactly it is that I do as an anthropologist, let me tell you how I got here in the first place. I grew up in a small town called Guilin in Kedah. Growing up, I loved the people watching. I would mentally note people's behavior and then use this information as a basis for the short stories that I would write. I still remember typing away at my mother's old computer in the library at home. There wasn't even internet connected to that computer. Some of these short stories were published in national newspapers between the age of 13 all the way till I was 19. That was how I channeled all my observations. Then it came time in every young Malaysian's life to pick the job that you want to do for the rest of your life. Post high school, how is a 17-year-old supposed to know what they're going to do for the rest of their life? And I'm sure many of you resonate with that. I had no idea what to do. And of course, my family encouraged me to either be a doctor or a lawyer. But those occupations just didn't sit right with me. So I felt lost. And I'm sure, again, that this is something that many people can relate to. But I had to make a decision. All my peers were going to university. So I decided to pick one of the more versatile majors, business administration. I figured I could probably pivot this into something else with a business degree once I figured it out. And so it was around this time that I also got a scholarship to go to China for my degree. And that was truly life-changing. The reason for that is I was terrible at Mandarin. Growing up, I had trouble connecting with my Chinese identity. Going to China was the furthest from my mind. That was not the way I envisioned how my life would pan out. And it was a culture shock. Faced with a new culture I was unfamiliar with, it drove me to want to systematically document and understand the people around me. As a Malaysian Chinese, I looked like them. I could understand them. Heck, I could even understand some of the reasonings behind things that I have not encountered in Malaysia. I was an in-between person. I wasn't Chinese enough, but I sure looked Chinese enough. And this gave me a lot of time to ponder about my identity and to ponder my surroundings. One of this phenomenon that was interesting to me was the marriage market. A quick explanation. Marriage markets are informal gatherings in public parks by elderly parents. Here, they bring banners or posters to advertise their children in the hopes of helping them find a spouse. At first glance, it's completely bizarre. But because of my Chinese background, I could also understand it. I grew up watching Chinese parents feel anxious and worried whenever their children aren't married. At the end of the day, they were just concerned about the future of their children. Because of phenomena like this, I became an unofficial cultural translator. They didn't need me to translate the language. but my university mates from around the world would often ask me to explain things. "Why are they doing that, Nicolette?" they would ask. And I was able to offer them a perspective from an outsider that has knowledge about Chinese culture. I use my in-betweenness as a way to truly explore the surrounding. And that was when someone said to me, "Hey, Nicolette, you seem to really enjoy this. You should be a sociologist." Now, I had no idea what a sociologist was. But after looking it up, I was surprised to find that sociologists were like anthropologists and psychologists, but more like a psychologist for the society rather than for individual people. And I was floored. This was the second time in my life now that I am going to be making a really big change towards the unknown. I applied to different universities around the world to do a master's in sociology, and I got accepted into the University of Oxford. Yes, the place that looked like Hogwarts. Now, here I was, a small town girl from Kulim Kedah, Malaysia, that went to a primary school called River Cow in a village at Oxford now. When I applied, I didn't think I would end up there. I simply applied on a whim. Oftentimes we think these things must be impossible and we never even try. And that was when I learned a lesson. Even if you think you're not going to get it, even if you think you're not good enough, try it. Because that's how I got there. People from my hometown thought I was completely making it up. How is it even possible? We grew up with Nicolette. How is she now at Oxford? But it was a sign for me that perhaps I'm actually good at this. Someone recognized that I can actually be a professional people watcher. And although it was my first formal foray into social science, I loved it. And after I finished my master's degree, I decided to take it further. I went over to the United States to do my PhD in anthropology at the University of Pittsburgh. Anthropology is the study of human society and culture and their development. Fun fact, archaeology is a branch within anthropology. So I had to take an archaeology class when I joined the department. And let me tell you this, it makes watching Indiana Jones a whole new experience. For example, where is his trowel? Why is he constantly touching artifacts with his bare hands? I digress. So, let me talk about my dissertation. My dissertation would be an odd one as well. I study dating apps in China. And that is how I actually found out that I can use my existing research skills in a field within the field of tech, called user experience research, more commonly known as UX research. Now, this is an uncommon phrase, not just in Malaysia, even here in the United States. User experience research is the systematic study of the people that are using one's technology, or people that are potentially going to be using the technology that one built. UX research helps the people that build technologies for us make products that fit our requirements and lifestyle. It takes the guesswork out and adds realistic context and insights to the design process. No more just building something without knowing the real struggles and needs of people. UX researchers adopt various techniques, such as interviews, card sorting, heuristic evaluation, usability testing, and others to uncover problems and design opportunities. Doing so, they reveal valuable information, which can be fed into the design process. And I am a firm believer of including the human-centered experience within decisions that we make, especially decisions that could affect so many people. Tech companies like Google, Amazon, and Facebook hires thousands of user experience researchers to study how their design affect user experience and usage, and what can they do to make their products better, to make it more suited to what people actually need. It's only a bonus that the average salary for a UX researcher in San Francisco is about ringgit. Now, I work as a director of UX research at a small startup based in Stockholm called TEDxUTP, where I complete my PhD. TEDxUTP is a referencing software, and I highly suggest you check it out. It is funny how things work out though. I started from a place where I had no idea what I wanted to do. None of these occupations that my peers in Malaysia were doing felt right to me. And my family, like many other parents in Malaysia, wanted me to take on a path that was stable, that provided a stable salary, a stable life, something that they already know about, something everyone's familiar with. And their concerns are valid. After all, it comes from a place of love and worry. But I am thankful that I took a chance on an unusual path. Going to China for an undergraduate degree when I can barely speak Chinese, when a degree from China wasn't even recognized yet at that point of time. Pivoting to sociology and anthropology, phrases that I've never even heard of prior to my last years during my undergraduate degree. If I didn't do all those things and follow the journey of pursuing a seemingly benign interest like people watching and writing, I wouldn't have stumbled into a career that I love, that's both stable and intellectually stimulating. A career that helps make great products that affect millions of people around the world while representing people's voices to giant tech companies. As Malaysians, we aren't encouraged to pursue our interests or what we are intellectually curious about. We are advised to be doctors, engineers, accountants. We are taught to relinquish our interests, to fear the unknown, and to follow a path we are familiar with. But I am here as proof that sometimes it is okay to venture into the unknown, to be okay with being lost, to feel overwhelmed, to try new things, to be in a strange place where you know no one, maybe you don't even know the language, to start afresh. It's okay to not do what our friends do and to carve out our own path. Sometimes life may surprise you and you may end up doing a job that you really love that also help millions of people out there. Sometimes you get a shot at being part of something really, really cool, and making the technology that millions of people around the world use a much better human experience. So if there's one thing that you can take away from my talk today, it's that if a small town girl like me from Malaysia can make this seemingly crazy transition into who I am today, I believe you can too. Thank you for coming to my talk, and have a wonderful day.